You ready to get your ass kicked today? I know I am. Welcome back to Warrior's Edge. My name is Andrew if this is our first time meeting, and welcome back to day 10 of your 30-day push-up challenge. Today is 55 push-ups within that 10-minute time frame. There are plenty of other videos from the first 9 days on how all of this works, but the long story short, start with 10 push-ups in minute 1, end with 1 push-up in minute 10, subtract a push-up to match the minute along the way, and if there's any minutes that you cannot complete, then just add them on into the next minute. Again, there's plenty of other videos to check out if you would like to. Today is the final day of descension days before we come back up to the ascension. So tomorrow we'll start with 1 push-up in minute 1 and then 11 push-ups in minute 11. But today we've just got that 10 minutes with 55 push-ups. So grab a stopwatch as always, set your timer for 10 minutes. I'm nervous, and go. Today I really want you to focus on taking your time within the full minute to use the full minute to finish your reps. So for example, here I start out with just 2 standard push-ups, then I drop down to my knees, take a little child's pose, and I'll carry on with that throughout the rest of this first minute here. And part of that was from reflection on yesterday in day 9 when I was unable to finish 1 rep in the 6th minute. And I realized that part of the reason that happened to me was because I was doing my best to get all the reps out right away. And so just like we learned in the first couple of days about taking your time and moving a little bit slower, while we have that in this final descension day where this is going to be the easiest of those minutes to begin with, in that regard, I wanted to come back to the idea of just using that whole minute like I just did to complete those 10 reps. And then moving into round 2, I'm letting my knees come down because that's kind of how I was already planning on attacking the rest of this challenge, is 1 round with your knees up and 1 round with your knees down. Seeing as how I just took another child's pose in between, your arms and your chest and your muscles still work with your knees down as long as your knees are behind your hips. So you see how my knees are not directly underneath my hips. We talked about the child's pose, or the tabletop variation rather, where your knees come directly under your hips. And that's what you want to avoid if your goal is to actually work your upper body. So a lot of pushing movement obviously in these push-ups. So since I just finished those 9, I did a couple little lat pull downs and a little punches just to work into other areas of my arms and work more into pull movements versus just the push. So I've come back here now with knees up for 2, and then I added a little child's pose, and then I let myself do knees down. So I'm really doing my best to use my knees up as often as I can. I think I also just started there with a couple of diamond push-ups and then switched back over to the standard, which is crazy still because at first I really thought that I was going to end up doing a lot more diamond push-ups because I really liked them in the first few days when we were taking things slower. But as we add on like this, I'm finding that these standard push-ups are actually a lot easier to do when you're doing a lot of them like that. And in a lot of ways, it's almost like swimming, you know, like you can do the butterfly stroke or the breaststroke or the backstroke or whatever, but freestyle is the way to go if you're trying to marathon all the way to the end. So next round here for me, this one is 6 push-ups. I'm taking them all with my knees down. Now this one's 7 push-ups on this round. And again, it's about your pace. So maybe you still have some push-ups left over, and we've talked about that again before, so you just take those and put them into the next round. And it's easier, obviously, to do that on these descension days because you subtract a push-up at a time as you go anyway. But as we switch back over to ascension tomorrow, the end might be a lot harder to do, which is also when we'll get into the territory of what happens if you don't finish in the time. But we're also soon getting into the territory of intervals and rest days. So I know I'm excited for that, and I'm sure you are too if you've been kicking with this from the start. So next round up here for me, 6 of these. I'm doing my best to do 2 standard, take a child's pose, and then leave my knees down for 2. We'll see how I do, because this is the minute that I think I had a hard time with yesterday. So I wanted to make sure that, especially since it's only about halfway through, that I still kept enough energy in the tank to keep pushing. And then it's time to open up and move into some stretches. So now that we're getting down into the last little bits of these push-ups, these round 5, round 6 areas, I'm going to be, moving from alternating knees up and down. And in between, when I have these time, you'll see in the next round as well, starting to add some thread the needles, starting to add some little wrist stretches, starting to add a little bit of cool down as we descend toward the last couple of reps. And when we switch back to ascending tomorrow, then it'll switch into a warm up so that things that you're doing at the beginning will help you later on, hopefully. There's pros and cons both ways over here. I'm starting to struggle over here. You can hear the breath. But take the rest when you need it and come back when you're ready to attack. So if you go back into those first couple of days when it was hard, I almost didn't make it. I saw myself wiggle. But I told you that you are eventually going to really appreciate this rest. And we're only on day 10. So I say 210 push-ups at the end and the live of this when I'm talking, but you really have done 220 push-ups so far if you've been here from the start. But by the end of day 15, which is just 5 days from now, it'll be something like 680 push-ups, I think, off the top of my head, which is wild. However, that's also nothing, because the second half of the month is going to really pick up, which is why these intervals and the rest days are going to be really pivotal for us coming up soon if we want to make it through to the end, because again, it's a marathon, not a race. So here's that little thread the needle. Nice little stretch in the back of your shoulder. Off camera and probably in some upcoming episodes and other exercises as well, I'll do laying on your belly and putting your arm out to the side to stretch deeper into your chest. So sort of like if you're standing up and putting your hand into a doorway and stretching it that way, but you do it from on your belly. Only 6 push-ups total remain. So moving here into round 8, I alternate one with my knees up. Ooh, my hips dipped a little bit there. I gotta get my core strength back up. And then one more. Ooh, that one was tough. Ooh, that round was tough for me. And it's great. Some push-ups are gonna be better than others, obviously. But some days are also gonna be better than others as well, which is something that I really want to emphasize throughout this whole challenge. And another reason that I encourage you to have your knees down when you need them to be, because your body's going to be different every day, and right now you're kind of shocking it, and you're doing a lot, again, of these push movements and a lot of the same repetition over and over. So that's why it's important to add in other stretches, to do other lighter workouts, again, that focus more on that pull type of movement rather than the push, and also not to neglect your lower body or your core. So just 2 push-ups left here for me. I tackle the rest of these 3 all with my knees up. I wonder if I have better form. Sort of. Child's pose right here, again in between, because the reminder that you can take the full minute that you need, and that one was actually a lot better. So last little child's pose. I'm personally starting to feel this a lot in my triceps, but I also think that is to do with my diamond push-ups when I do those. So my triceps have been needing a little bit of extra love. But one last little push-up here, one little bird dog crunch on each side, again to keep that core activation going. And a nice little round of cat-cow, just to get your spine cooling down. Because again, it's more about cool down now versus all of that push to get up. So last push up right here, all the way down. You've got it. Ooh, and then all the way back up. That was great. All right, switching back over to the live. I'll see you in the voiceover tomorrow. Woo! All right, there was the ass kick for the day. I personally feel like I did pretty well, and it was a lot easier actually doing this without having to talk the entire time, at least for my breath support. But I am starting to feel a lot of fatigue in my triceps, in my shoulders, and in my chest. You've got about 20 seconds or so left right here, so if you're still working on your push-ups, that's fine. Take your time, about 15 seconds left here or so, and then we call it quits. As always, if you don't finish in these next 5 seconds, you can just track all that you have done and then come back and try tomorrow, or just come back later and finish them then. That will also get you starting to prep for the intervals. I'm so excited. I cannot wait for day 15 when we start to introduce intervals to all of this so that it's not all continuous this way, but it's still quite the challenge. Hope that you were able to slow it down in your own right today and move still a little bit slower to actually utilize the entire minute that you have to complete these push-ups. Maybe you threw in some child's pose, some shoulder stretches, some tricep stretches the way that I did today. Maybe you just did your own thing. Hopefully you were able to complete those 55, and if not, that's great. Just try again tomorrow. At the moment, you just crossed 210 push-ups for the entire month if you've done since day one, so great job. We are well on our way to sort of halfway, at least as far as adding things on go. Tomorrow's day 11, we head back to Ascension, and then we start to pick things up. See you then.